The Insight Views. Jimmy Chérizier, the rise of barbecue, Haiti's most feared rebel. In the streets of Port-au-Prince, Haiti's capital, the name barbecue carries both fear and fascination. For some, it's the nickname of a man who dared to stand up to a corrupt political system. For others, it's the mark of a killer who burned his enemies and turned the city into a war zone. His real name is Jimmy Chérizier, a former policeman turned gang leader, revolutionary, and self-proclaimed protector of Haiti's poor. This is the story of how one man rose from the slums of Port-au-Prince to become the most powerful and polarizing figure in Haiti's modern history. A man caught between rebellion and tyranny. A man whose shadow stretches across a broken nation. Jimmy Chérizier was born in the poor neighborhood of Delmas 6, in Port-au-Prince. Haiti, the first black republic in the world, has long been burdened by poverty, political instability, and corruption. For generations, people like Chérizier grew up surrounded by violence, hunger, and hopelessness. He was raised by a hard-working mother who sold grilled meat on the streets, and it was from her business that he earned the nickname barbecue. As a child, Jimmy saw soldiers and police patrolling his streets, and he dreamed of becoming one of them to bring safety and dignity to his neighborhood. In his youth, he joined the Haitian National Police, known as the PNH. To many, this was a noble path. But inside the force, Chérizier found a world infected by corruption and politics. He saw fellow officers taking bribes, politicians manipulating arrests, and the poor always paying the highest price. By the mid-2010s, Chérezier's reputation within the police grew. He was known as tough, unyielding, and willing to confront gangs head-on. But those same confrontations planted the seeds of his downfall. In 2017, Chérezier's name appeared in reports linking him to violent police operations that resulted in the deaths of civilians in poor neighborhoods. The most infamous incident was the La Saline massacre, where dozens of people were killed. Human rights groups accuse the police of colluding with gangs and government officials to silence dissent. Jimmy Chérizier denied all involvement, claiming he was being framed by corrupt politicians who wanted to control him. But the damage was done. He was dismissed from the police force and became a wanted man. To many observers, that was the moment the policeman died and the warlord was born. In 2020, Haiti was spiraling deeper into crisis. Gangs had long dominated the capital, dividing it into territories controlled by violence and fear. But these gangs mostly fought each other, leaving the country in constant turmoil. Then came a surprising move. Jimmy "Barbecue" Chérizier announced the formation of a new coalition, the Revolutionary Forces of the G9 family and allies. It would later be known simply as the G9. For the first time, over a dozen gangs agreed to unite under one leadership. His Barbecue declared that the G9 was not a criminal group, but a revolutionary movement aimed at bringing justice to Haiti's poor and defending them from corrupt politicians and foreign interests. To his followers, he became a symbol of strength and pride. To his enemies, he became the face of terror. The rise of G9 came as Haiti's political system collapsed. In July 2021, President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated inside his home, leaving a power vacuum that pushed the country to the edge of anarchy. As the government faltered, the gangs filled the void. And no gang was more dominant than G9. In the neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince, people began to speak of Barbecue as the man who truly ruled the capital. He controlled key roads, ports, and fuel supplies. His men carried heavy weapons, often more advanced than those of the police. Barbecue delivered fiery speeches, calling for revolution. "We are not bandits," he said. "We are fighting for our right to live." But as his influence grew, so did the violence. Kidnappings skyrocketed. Businesses were extorted. Neighborhoods were burned. Families fled their homes, escaping the crossfire between rival factions and government forces. International organizations began to document massacres and mass displacement linked to the G9. Yet, despite growing condemnation, Barbecue remained untouchable, protected by his popularity in some communities and the weakness of Haiti's government. Barbecue's rise wasn't just about guns. It was about ideology. He presented himself as a man of the people, someone who fought against injustice, corruption, and foreign interference. In his speeches, he denounced Haiti's elite and the international community, especially the United States and the United Nations, accusing them of exploiting Haiti for decades while leaving its people to starve. His message resonated in neighborhoods that had long been ignored by politicians. Many saw him as the first leader to speak their truth, to call out a system that had never worked for the poor. But his critics argue that his revolution is built on blood. They point to burned homes, displaced families, and murdered civilians, all casualties of his war against the state. To them, Barbecue is not a liberator but a warlord hiding behind revolutionary language. As the G9's power expanded, the international community began to take notice. In 2022, the United Nations imposed sanctions on Jimmy Chérizier, accusing him of serious human rights abuses, including murder, sexual violence, and obstructing humanitarian aid. The US government soon followed, freezing his assets and prohibiting travel. But sanctions did little to weaken his grip on Port-au-Prince. On the ground, Barbecue continued to lead his men with defiance. He mocked the UN and Western nations in public statements, claiming that they were afraid of a strong, united Haiti. For many Haitians, this was both inspiring and terrifying. They admired his courage to challenge foreign powers but feared the chaos that came with his rule. By 2023, Port-au-Prince had become a battleground. Armed groups controlled nearly 80% of the city. Streets were lined with barricades. Gunfire echoed through neighborhoods once filled with life. Journalists who dared to enter gang-controlled areas were often kidnapped or killed. The government's presence faded, replaced by the rule of armed coalitions. Barbecue's G9 became the most organized and militarized of them all. Dressed in tactical gear, his men carried assault rifles and rocket launchers. They set up checkpoints, collected taxes, and dictated who could move through their territories. Yet, Barbecue insisted that his forces were providing order, not chaos. "If we leave, the people will die," he said in one interview. "We are the shield of the poor." But many Haitians rejected that claim. They accused him of exploiting the people's suffering to maintain power, while plunging the nation further into despair. Who is Jimmy Chérizier, really? To understand him, one must look beyond the headlines. He is a man shaped by Haiti's history, a country born from revolution, yet trapped in endless cycles of poverty and corruption. Barbecue sees himself as the heir to Haiti's revolutionary spirit, a modern-day Toussaint Louverture fighting against colonial forces. His words often reference Haiti's founding fathers and the struggle for independence. But unlike the revolutionaries of 1804, Barbecue's war is not fought against a foreign army, but against his own countrymen. He leads through fear and charisma. His followers see him as a father figure, a protector who provides food, weapons, and purpose in a nation that has abandoned them. To his enemies, he's a manipulator who thrives on chaos. A man who uses revolutionary language to justify bloodshed. The truth, perhaps, lies somewhere in between. Behind every speech, every battle, and every headline lies a human story: families torn apart, children orphaned, and neighborhoods turned into war zones. According to humanitarian organizations, hundreds of thousands of Haitians have been displaced by gang violence. Schools are closed, hospitals are overwhelmed, and food shortages are rampant. For ordinary Haitians, survival is the only goal. Some see joining gangs as the only way to earn money or protection. Others flee, risking their lives at sea in search of safety. Barbecue's revolution has given some hope, but for many, it has only deepened the nightmare. Haiti's government has tried to regain control, but with little success. Police officers are outnumbered and under-equipped. Corruption continues to undermine every attempt at reform. Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who took power after Moïse's assassination, has faced constant challenges from gangs and rival political groups. Many accuse him of relying on gangs for support, further blurring the line between state and criminal power. In this environment, Barbecue thrives. Every failure of the government strengthens his narrative that the system is broken, and only revolution can save Haiti. What lies ahead for Haiti and for Barbecue? Some believe he will eventually fall, as all warlords do. They say the people will rise up once they see the true cost of his rebellion. Others believe he is here to stay, that he has become too deeply rooted in Haiti's social and political fabric to be removed by force. International discussions about sending foreign troops to Haiti continue, but intervention is a double-edged sword. Many Haitians remember the history of occupation and exploitation, and fear that outside forces will only make things worse. Barbecue himself has warned against intervention, saying that any foreign soldiers who enter Haiti will face the fire of the people. Jimmy Barbecue Chérizier is not a simple villain or hero. He is a mirror reflecting Haiti's pain, its rage, and its desperate search for justice. His rise was made possible by decades of broken promises, failed governments, and foreign interference. His power grows from the cracks in a country left to fend for itself. Whether he is remembered as a revolutionary or a tyrant will depend on how history judges his impact. But one thing is certain, he has left a mark that Haiti will not soon forget. In the burning streets of Port-au-Prince, his legend continues to grow, fueled by fear, faith, and fire. As the sun sets over Haiti's capital, the people brace for another night of uncertainty. Gunshots echo in the distance. Children hide under beds. Mothers pray. And somewhere, Jimmy Barbecue Chérizier stands among his followers, a man who calls himself a soldier of the people, but whose war has plunged a nation into chaos. He is both a product and a symptom of Haiti's long struggle, a man born from the ashes of a broken state, who now holds it hostage. The story of Barbecue is the story of Haiti itself, a country burning, yearning, and still searching for redemption. The Insight Views. Sharper focus. Deeper insight. Uncovering stories, revealing truths. Turning headlines into understanding.